Hello everyone, Beardo speaking. Welcome to a very special episode of MINUTIA Minute. This episode is part 5 in our YouTube community crossover event, in which we each in turn review every episode of Watchmen. I will be reviewing issue number 4, Watchmaker. In Howler Mouse's review of issue 1, he explained that Alan Moore's story was originally intended to be just 6 issues, but DC wanted 12. So as a result, the story more or less alternates between story issues, comprising of basically issues 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11, and character studies for issues 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Each story issue deconstructs the idea of the superhero genre, its tropes, and its typical stories. Each character study deconstructs the characters themselves, the archetypical superhero characters that each of the characters represent, and shows us what these people would really be like. Issue 4 is one such character study. It's the character study of Dr. Manhattan, told from his perspective, and it's incredibly important to understand exactly how he sees the world. And it's summed up best at the very beginning of the story. He narrates, "The photograph is in my hand. It is the photograph of a man and a woman. They are at an amusement park in 1959. In 12 seconds' time, I drop the photograph into the sand at my feet, walking away. It's already lying there, 12 seconds into the future. 10 seconds now. The photograph is in my hand. I found it in a derelict bar at the Gila Flats test base 27 hours ago. It's still there, 27 hours into the past, in its frame, in the darkened bar. I'm still there looking at it. The photograph is in my hand. The woman takes a piece of popcorn between thumb and forefinger. The Ferris wheel pauses. 7 seconds now. It's October 1985. I'm on Mars. It's July 1959. I'm in New Jersey, at the Palisades Amusement Park. 4 seconds. 3. I'm tired of looking at the photograph now. I open my fingers, it falls to the sand at my feet. I'm going to look at the stars. They are so far away, and their light takes so long to reach us. All we ever see of stars are their old photographs. I am 227 million kilometers from the sun. Its light is already 10 minutes old. It will not reach Pluto for another 2 hours. 2 hours into my future, I observe meteorites from a glass balcony, thinking about my father. 12 seconds into the past, I open my fingers and the photograph is falling. I am watching the stars. Halley's Comet tumbles through the solar system on its great 76-year ellipse. My father admired the sky for its precision. He repaired watches. It's 1945. I sit in a Brooklyn kitchen, fascinated by an arrangement of cogs on black velvet. I am 16 years old. It's 1985. I am on Mars. I am 56 years old. The photograph lies at my feet. Falls from my fingers. Is in my hand. I am watching the stars, admiring their complex trajectories through space, through time. I am trying to give a name to the force that set them in motion. Over the course of issue 4, we see many different time periods that make up Dr. Manhattan's life. From his early youth, to how he transformed, how he loved, and how he became secluded. However, to understand how Alan Moore is constructing the character of Dr. Manhattan, one really need look no further than those first opening lines about time and space. During Congress's crusade against comic books in the 1950s, Dr. Frederick Wortham compared Superman to Nietzsche's idea of the Ubermensch. And while Wortham became one of the most loathed figures among comic book readers for his crusade against them, he made a point that Alan Moore is revisiting through the character of Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen. Exactly what does an all-powerful being feel? How does he comprehend reality? And how does that comprehension of reality change his psyche? In the late 1800s, Friedrich Nietzsche put forth the idea of the Ubermensch in his 1883 book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. While the idea of the Ubermensch, or overman, or above human, or superman, is contested among readers and critics of later ages, many of the core ideas of the concept, as well as many key ideas in Nietzsche's philosophy, are exhibited clearly in Dr. Manhattan. First, the Ubermensch is clearly human. He is in fact something humans should aspire to become. And Dr. Manhattan, with his extrasensory perceptions of time and space, is the ultimate example of the triumph of humans' ability to understand and reason through their senses. Secondly, the Ubermensch is a figure that comes out of a time after the death of God. With the death of God, the moral stability that God brings to society, according to Nietzsche, breaks down, and no society exhibits the concept of godlessness more than the October of 1985 that we experience in the Watchmen universe. Finally, the Ubermensch is someone who brings a new perspective and a new sense of moral value to society. Dr. Manhattan does in fact accomplish this, in a sense, by the end of the story, but it isn't necessarily the moral values that Nietzsche was arguing for when he put forth the idea of the Ubermensch. It's important to note that Superman is similarly able to fulfill all of these roles of the Ubermensch. However, he also brings moral value under adverse circumstances in a way that is much more in keeping with the Nietzsche idea. After all, he is the Big Blue Boy Scout. On the other hand, Dr. Manhattan, who is every bit as nihilistic as the society he lives in, is not. The difference between the two is that for Alan Moore's creation, the Ubermensch is still clearly a man trapped in a god's body, and he's as flawed and as incapable as the rest of us and can't perform at a higher level. Alan Moore is arguing in Watchmen that to see a Superman like the one that Nietzsche would like to see, and the one that we see in DC Comics, one must ignore the basic realities of the human condition. Dr. Manhattan is therefore not just Alan Moore's interpretation of our Big Blue Boy Scout Superman, but he is also an interpretation and refutation of Nietzsche's Ubermensch, the very core concept itself. Issue 4 of Watchmen is a critical issue in understanding Dr. Manhattan's journey as Ubermensch and where it has left him by the time we as readers meet him in the fall of 1985. While Issue 4 is just the character study of only one character in a large troupe of characters that appear in Watchmen, it's a pivotal issue in the greater understanding of the tapestry of philosophy that Alan Moore is bringing to the table in his epic superhero yarn. It is, in fact, a major component in one of the graphic novel's ultimate questions. Who watches the Watchmen? What Alan Moore did in 1985 with Watchmen is, in many ways, unparalleled in its social, emotional, and philosophical complexity. It's a book that works on many, many different levels. One can read it as a critique on superheroes, but what makes Watchmen truly unique is that it really works well even if there are no superheroes. If they had never been invented during the Great Depression, Watchmen, if it were still written, would still be a great book. You can never have heard of a superhero, open up Watchmen, and still be completely enthralled by its stories, the nuance, the complexity of the characters, and the ideas that are presented within its pages. Few aspects of the novel exemplify this more than the character of Dr. Manhattan, which is why Issue 4 for me is one of my favorite issues in what is, in my opinion, one of the greatest works of art of our time. Beautifully drawn by Dave Gibbons, expertly written by Alan Moore, Watchmen will truly prove timeless. And that basically concludes my review of Watchmen Issue 4. And I just wanted to say a couple of last quick things. I really was very intimidated by my predecessor's videos. Howler Mouse, Agent 42Q, Ghost Critic, you guys really did a phenomenal job with your reviews. I can see the passion behind this project with you guys. I feel like everyone's really stepped up and gone way above and beyond. And I really don't want to fumble the ball, so I hope everybody really enjoyed my video, and it was fully satisfactory in every way, I hope. Be sure to leave a comment down below what you thought of what I said. If you agree, disagree, doesn't matter, let me know. I'd love to discuss this more. And then finally, I just want to make a quick announcement that if you are interested in the Before Watchmen crossover or my thoughts on it, I will be doing a follow-up video for that separate of this review, where I will talk at length about what I think about that project. So, thank you again for watching, and I can't wait to watch everybody else's reviews as they slowly accumulate and we work towards issue 12. So, I will see everybody soon. Bye-bye.